Of course, men are not, they're not security dogs in any way. One time I was robbed while I was just sitting right there. But
That's so funny.
yeah, but they're great for companionship.
You are wrong, well. Just...
No, they didn't even register to them. They were just like jumping around and having a good time. My name is Eugene Mbugua. I'm an entrepreneur and a TV producer. I run a company called Documentary and Reality Television Limited, and we produce television. We have a series of TV shows across the different channels in Kenya and in the region. Young Rich, Get in the Kitchen, Our Perfect Wedding, Foods of Kenya, Story Yangu. We have a lot of TV shows. There's New South Soul reality show, one with Wahuen, Nameless, This Love, and Soul Family. Yes, and that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Before you formed this particular company, did you try to maybe do other things before?
Yes, I had a lot of failures before this one took off. What was the first thing I did? So I started off as a boom singer, you know, the guys who hold the microphone. So that was my first job, and I did that for Mactano Junction, and did that for Inspector Mwala. I did that for Machachari. I was also an extra in some of those shows. I'd fill the background. Then after that, I had my first company with my friend Dexter. It was called To A Show, and what we used to do was we'd teach primary school kids basic film, and they'd pay to be part of the club. You know, the way they have music club and drama club in primary schools, so we had a film club and we'd charge the students. So I did that for maybe 2-3 years. And while I was doing that, I was still going to school. Then I started a tour company that failed terribly. I think I took like 2 trips. I took different groups to Naivasha, and somewhere there I lost their things, so that failed. I had a business called Body Arts Festival. So I got, you know, when I was in university, tattoos were really a big thing. I went and convinced all the tattoo artists in town to pay me so that I could arrange an evening for them to come and showcase their work at USIU. And that we ended the first one, and then I think there was a neighbor there who was very upset and said that we brought some devil worshipping stuff. So then that also failed. So then I did, what else did I do? Then I had one of those 50 bob movie shops, you know, the ones that sell 50 bob films. Yeah. So I had that for almost 3 years when I was in school. And I expanded, and then I had now video games because I added some screens and then got an Xbox and a PlayStation. So I did a bunch of things, and then I think that was my last business before this one. Then when I but this whole time I really knew I wanted to get into a TV business. And so I was pitching TV shows. I was pitching a bunch of TV shows. And so while I was still doing all that, the first TV show was bought. I was still writing for The Nation even while I was still doing that. I was doing a lot of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you work with so many people. How have you managed to maybe work with these particular celebrities around?
We have a good reputation as the documentary reality TV because we've been at this for almost 10 years now, and personally I've been at it for a few years more. We've set a track record over time. Like, people know our work. They know that we are a company that you want to work with. I mean, you've seen the quality of the productions that we are putting out. But we also do spend quite a lot of time in building relationships with our, because those artists are our partners. And I think also it just comes with the territory, you know, like I'm in the field, so we're able to sort of build a lot of those relationships. But I'd say we're a company of value. A lot of people want to work with us, and I feel that contributes to it. And a lot of it has to do with the quality and amount of work that the team here puts into our productions.
You can take us through a little bit about maybe the culture of the company, the Young Rich TV Limited. Yeah.
So we're very big on learning. You see, like, this is supposed to be a library going, and I think most of the books have been borrowed. We're very big on learning. I would say, because I personally seek out knowledge very, very aggressively. We don't sit down and assume we know. We are constantly just searching for better ways to edit, better ways to shoot. What's the way we can do this in a cheaper and more efficient way? We are constantly learning from our mistakes. So I'd say learning is a big part of the culture here. We have a system that we run that's very, you can see what everybody is doing, because we run on a system called Basecamp, and everybody calls out everybody else on stuff. You need a bit of a thick skin to work here, because things move very quickly. There's a lot of learning required. But I also like to think that we have a fun space. You know, we are a very young team of almost 40 people. We are 30 something now. Very young, very vibrant, but also very disciplined. We are very big on timekeeping. We are very big on delivery timelines. We are very big on creating value, not just for our viewers, but also for our partners and our shareholders. So it's a very agile, but very aggressive culture that we have here.
Wow, amazing. Maybe take us through your typical day as a CEO.
My typical day, it's quite gruesome. So I wake up at 3:45 a.m. I go to bed really early, so I go to bed about 8:30. I get 7 hours of sleep, and I'm awake at 3:45 a.m. Between 3:45 and maybe 4:30, I'll go through my our internal communication system and respond to managers. Then I'll go to the gym with my trainer Steve, and we'll work out for an hour and a half. So then I'll be done at the gym about 6. Then I'll usually drive here. I have my own shower and stuff here. So then I get ready for the day here. And I'm usually at my desk by about 6:45, and I read for an hour and a half. Maybe an hour and a half, I'm usually done. And then I have breakfast around 8 a.m. Then now from then on, it's just meetings, phone calls, phone calls. But then I also do create what I call deep work. So deep work is when I put aside time, and I don't answer phone calls during this period. I don't take meetings. I work on stuff. So this is when I create. This is when I write proposals. So yeah, so then that will usually go on. I'll be done at around maybe 4:30. I have another business called Number 7, the club. So sometimes I do go there in the evenings to have dinner or something. But then usually I'll go home at 4:30 and play with my dogs, and I'm done for the day. Go to sleep by 8:30 and repeat.
On that note, you have mentioned you love dogs.
I love my dogs.
Why is it so important to you?
The relationship of any human being and their dog is quite interesting. I mean, anybody you know who has a dog, this is quite an interesting relationship that you have. Dogs are their loyalty is like nothing else. And they're also just really pleasant to be around. Of course, mine are not, they're not security dogs in any way. One time I was robbed, just sitting right there. But
That's so funny.
yeah, but they're great for companionship.
You are wrong.
No, they didn't even register to them. They were just like jumping around and having a good time.
That's why.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell us a bit about the challenges that you guys you face, some of the obstacles that you guys you face daily in your business, in your activities, in shooting.
As a business, we've just come from a very bad situation with the pandemic. And, we had these 2 lockdowns that really affected our business. Every time there was a lockdown and the number of people who were allowed to go to our wedding, we have the biggest wedding show in the region. So, of course, that was affected heavily. We have a travel show called Foods of Kenya. So, once the lockdown happened and we couldn't travel out of Nairobi, this affected us heavily. But on the day-to-day, of course, we do also have our own issues. Kenya has a big problem with payments. Because it cascades down because the government has issues with cash flow, so they don't pay their main suppliers, and the main suppliers are usually contracted other people down here to do audiovisual work and other stuff. So then you also don't end up getting paid for months on end. So these are some problems you face as when running a business in Kenya. But I always like to say, so what? Because everybody you speak to has problems, and we exist to ensure that we overcome those problems and thrive. So yeah, we do face quite a lot of challenges, but every day we try to wake up and see how we can solve them and move forward.
Do you think there is maybe there's a secret to being successful?
Yeah, I don't think there's a secret or a formula either, but I can tell you what worked for me. I think the thing that really worked in my favor was that I started very early. I think I got my first job at 17, not really employment, but at the age of 17, before I got my ID, I was already out there trying to do stuff. So that, of course, I'm 30 now and I've had 13 years experience in my job. So you see, that makes the world of a difference. I always say I don't understand how the only thing you've done for 4 years is school. Because in university, classes only go for max 4 hours a day. So just that element of time, you do get ahead of other people when you start early. So that works very much in my favor, and of course, there's just no substitute to hard work. There's no secret really. You must be smart. You must keep educating yourself, but you must also just put in the hours. So I would say start early and just put in the hours. There's no secret. No, my advice to everybody is always start where you are with what you have today, because there'll never be a perfect time. You'll never have all the resources you need. Start where you are with what you have today.